Las Vegas Raiders. Trevor goes B for the Raiders. Biggest signing is Christian Wilkins coming in from the Miami Dolphins to play defensive tackle. And then Gardner Minshew added to the quarterback room with Aiden O'Connell. Biggest loss, Josh Jacobs, Jermaine Illuminor on the offensive line. First 2 draft picks, you got Brock Bowers coming in at tight end / just overall playmaker, and then Jackson Powers-Johnson in the second round. I mean, for me, the biggest question for the Raiders is, okay, are you feeling good about the quarterback position? You don't necessarily have your QB of the future, but everything else seems fine.
Yeah, so if you take away the quarterbacks question, like if you just looked at their moves, additions, subtractions, what they've done, the Raiders had a good offseason, but you have to view it through the prism of what they did at quarterback and what could they have done at quarterback. Or, so that's the thing. It's like, okay, Gardner Minshew coming in, he's a good, like he might be the best backup quarterback in the NFL or one of those sort of marginal starter guys that can be fine for a season. I mean, he did good work for Indianapolis last year, right? But if he's your number one quarterback, you don't have a good quarterback situation. So you look at the Raiders and you're like, okay, what is a reasonable expectation for them to have fixed the quarterback situation over this offseason? Because this is now the second year in a row where it's felt like they did need a quarterback and didn't really come away with one. So I think that's how you have to view this offseason, through that lens of they got Minshew. Is that better or worse than the baseline expectation of going into an offseason with a hole at quarterback, needing a quarterback? I think you have to see that as worse than expectation.
I feel like this offseason is going to feel better maybe next year when they're, again, I've mentioned this before, they're looking for a quarterback. They're going to be, trying to steal a Dak Prescott, draft for the quarterback, whatever it might be, and say, hey, we've got Brock Bowers over here. We've got a playmaker. We got a solid offensive line because JPJ comes in to help solidify that. Even though the defense played much better down the stretch, I think adding a Christian Wilkins was needed. They've needed some help on the defensive line from Max Crosby. Malcolm Kuntz had a nice breakout season last year. We'll see if Tyree Wilson can, add to that mix in year 2. But they definitely needed some playmaker help on the defensive side of the ball, and they got that.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott being an option for them next offseason would be very interesting. They're expected to be bad this year if you look at sort of Vegas win totals, but not. It's not like they're on course. I mean, these things obviously can change. We thought the Panthers would be better than they were last season. We thought the Cardinals and the Texans would be 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Only one of them was. But the Raiders I think their win total is 6.5 right now. The worst teams are at 4.5. So it's not like we expect them to have the number 1 overall pick next year and have their shot at the quarterback that way. They might be within range of one, but Dak Prescott being an option would definitely transform things. But I think overall, this was a good offseason for them if you simply ignore the quarterback situation. But as we know, that's everything.
Yeah, so that's the only uneasiness, I think, with what the Raiders have done so far.